Back to our continuing coverage of today's election, focusing on Atlanta's mayoral race. These 6 candidates all vying to lead the city as people deal with rising crime, COVID, and division in Atlanta's neighborhoods. It is a race that we'll be closely monitoring for you throughout the day. On 11 Alive Morning News, I had the chance to speak with our political analyst, Andrea Gillespie, to get some perspective on what we can expect and why this election is so important.
We all know to vote in presidential elections, and last year was a very big year for the presidential election and then for the Senate runoff elections. But local politics matter as much as national politics do. In fact, they hit closer to home. So just as it was important to show up this time last year, it's very important, and everybody needs to turn out today as well.
So let's talk about who's leading the race right now. We've been watching these polls, and the undecided voters are the overwhelming majority. We know we have Kasim Reed and Felicia Moore dancing at the top together, those two. But when it comes to undecided voters, that's really alarming.
Yes, it's alarming. It's not terribly surprising given the number of people in the field, and I think the ambivalence towards former Mayor Reed. I think that that's driving a lot of the undecided vote. My concern as a political scientist is that those undecided voters might feel so overwhelmed that they choose to sit out the race, which means that all of our predictions may go out the window. It's either going to amplify what we already see, or we could, be surprised. But I think even if you're undecided, look up things on Ballotpedia, look up things on the AJC.com, figure out what all the candidates stand for, and still turn out to vote. That's going to be really important today.
Now, this keeps bringing us back to Mary Norwood and Keisha Lance Bottoms, where Mary Norwood was actually leading, and then the day of, everything sort of switched, and we go to that runoff again. Do you think we could see something similar like that today?
Well, one, I expect that there's going to be a runoff, and so it really doesn't matter whether you finish first or second, but that you finish in the top 2. And given the fact that there's so many undecided people, if those undecided people stay home today, then perhaps we're going to see something that looks like what the top tier looks like, only just amplified a little bit more. I still don't think either one of the top 2 candidates, whether that's Felicia Moore or Kasim Reed or one of the others, actually gets 50% plus 1. But then I think we are going to have another fight, and I think the big question in the runoff is going to be, is it going to be decided by a margin of less than 1,000 votes, as it has happened the last 2 open seat contests we've had.
And stay with 11 Alive for all of our election coverage. You can also text the word VOTE at that number you see right there on your screen to get a link to our election guide. That's 404-885-7600.